Hey guys, it's Big Sexy with Big Sexy Outdoors. If you guys are looking for your bucks to be big and sexy like me, I recommend you go out and get yourself some Big Sexy by Domain. This product is filled with radish, turnips, and kale, and other vegetation to keep the deer coming back all season long. Go out to your local Tractor Supply and purchase some today. Big Sexy by Domain.
The sun peeks over the horizon. Your excitement builds. The animals in the field start to stir. The forest comes alive with sounds. The sunlight glimmers off the lake, and the mountains start to shed their morning fog. So load up your favorite ammo, grab a few buddies, and head out to make some memories. And tell the rest of the world that you've gone hunting. Gone Hunting is a 1 to 4 player game of family fun where you build a unique hunting ground, scout different animals, buy weapons and gear, and roll dice to hunt. Complete objectives and try not to miss. So let's load up the truck and back Gone Hunting today. See you in the field.
How's it going? What's up, fellas?
Well, now we're banned from both YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, we are. Because we as redneck as we can get, boys. Huh? Look at that. Woo-wee.
So, what's going on?
Same old stuff, buddy. Same old stuff. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
We got something cool here, though. Chris had an idea that we're going to share.
Go ahead.
So I'll tell you what. Let's wait till we start seeing them viewers pop up. Then we'll start going with it.
Yeah. All right, we'll bring our guest in. I want to show the Gone Hunting stuff, and then we'll go from there.
Let's do it.
How's it going again?
Yeah,
What's up, brother?
going great. It's going great. It's good to see you guys.
You too, brother. You too. You see that gun?
Yeah, is that your goose gun?
No, you know what that is? I bought it tonight. Guy called me, he needed some money, and I help anybody out if I can. Especially with a cool gun in the process.
You're really early on the cross for that one, then.
That's Winchester, Model 12, year 1909.
Oh, that's cool, dude. That is super cool.
Look at that.
Seems
Look
like
at
it needs a little oil, but
oh yeah, it's an old gun, but I mean,
yeah,
Dude,
I got it for. So I got it for. It's actually the. If you see it right here, see it. That's the problem. The gun moves smooth. It's your release.
Oh yeah,
It sticks. But yeah, it's a 12 gauge model. I mean, I couldn't. $200. The guy said I needed Christmas money. What was I gonna say?
Dude, that's a steal, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a cool piece of history, too.
Well, and the guy told me, he's like, "Here, can you do me one favor?" He's a buddy of mine. I said, "What do you need?" He said, "Please, if you ever go to get rid of that gun, it was my grandfather's. Can you sell it back to me?" I said, "Yeah, man. We'll." I said, "I don't plan on getting rid of it or even shooting it. It'll probably go up in my closet, even though it's shootable, and stay there, and that's where it'll stay in the cabinet. You know what I mean?"
Yeah, that's a redneck loan. That's what that is.
Yeah, pretty well. But we help anybody we can, especially at Christmas time. If I can help somebody, man, I'm going to help somebody.
Dude, that's awesome. That's super cool.
I want to tell you something else cool. I know Chris is going to go over the game, but this is about the game. So I tell you guys something cool real quick before we really get into this. So we had an early Christmas yesterday, right, Chris? It was yesterday. I called you to tell you how cool it was.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother and my nephew, my brother's realist, man. If he sees it, he's like me. If he's open and honest. I said, "Hey, you want to play this board game?" And I had the demo box. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll play," he said. So he ended up playing, and his son, he's 11, my nephew. I said, "Hey, you want to play, buddy?" He said, I don't know. And then he walked by it 3 times. 3 times he walked around the table looking at this box. And he says, "Uncle Ben, can I play?" And I was like, "Yeah, buddy, sit down." So we got playing. By the time it was done, he said, "Dad, Uncle Ben's got to either give me that game or we got to get one. I love that game." And he had the mental strategic part of that game. Like he understood one of the actions. If you went back to base camp, you got a free bullet. So like he understood that. That kid had bullets when I couldn't even think of a bullet. I mean, he was smart. I was super excited on how much he loved it.
Dude, that's so cool. I'm so excited to hear that.
Sorry, Chris. I didn't
No,
want to take over there. I just had to share that story about the game. I knew you were going into the game.
Yeah, so private chat thing. Okay. So we've been live for about a week?
Yep.
Yep, and we are at just about halfway done. So we got 3 weeks to go, 23 days, a little over 3 weeks, really. Yeah. So we got time. It's just, hey, if you're into hunting, you want to just have a good competitive game against, for the family, a lightweight competitive game, grab it. It's $20, less than the cost of going to the movies. Heck, it's a lot cheaper than even a Happy Meal at McDonald's these days, and it'll last a lot longer. So yeah, so there you go.
So
I'm trying to grab the link, but I'm doing
one cool thing while you're going through there and looking is, Jazzbeard last week. He was the very first one to sponsor a card in the game, and I thought that was awesome that he did that right live online. And so, if I'm correct, did you two agree on a card?
Well, I was getting there. Don't jump ahead of me.
Okay, just what I'm saying. You two did agree on one, right? I know you send it back and forth, and you were.
Yeah.
I'm excited to show the viewers. I'm excited that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, and not only that, but we did have others, coming in for cards, and so that was pretty awesome. We had people backing for the game, and so yeah, like I said, we're moving. It's just it's going to take a little bit, but we need your help to get in there. So speaking of the card, let me grab that real quick. I had it queued up. And there we go.
Bam!
Boom.
Yep. Yep. Like I said, I did have to flip the image because this was blocked by here.
Mm-hmm. No, I like it. I think it looks really good.
Thanks.
I love it, man. The deer horns hanging off that hook. Tell me that's going to look awesome.
Heck yeah, dude. That was like, and that's, I don't typically set up pictures just for the sake of taking pictures. Like I take my gear out and I take pictures. So it's just like while I'm using it. So, that's actually where I got my deer on Friday. That's in that same stand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now imagine. I don't know if he muted himself but I can't hear him.
I did it again. I do it all the time. So I see viewers popping on. I want to make sure they understand that Chris and I have a special Christmas wheel here. We're gonna give something away tonight, and we included one of Jazzbeard's brow hooks in this giveaway.
Oh,
so
sweet.
Yeah, we're gonna give something away in the wheel. So stay live. Comment your name over there. Hold on, Chris. Did it again. We're mirrored. Comment your name over there in the section. I don't care if you say hi, put your name, whatever you want. Just throw a comment in there. Your name will automatically go in on the wheel.
Yep. But yeah, with this one here, it especially with your nephew there using it, you don't have to go back to the base camp to buy anything anymore. You can just say you're using the buy sell, and then you act as if you went back to base camp and you get a bullet.
That's so cool. I love that. I think that's exactly. I thought you explained that well to me this afternoon. I think that's worth saying, Chris. Go for it.
Again, what the brow hook does is it keeps your gear handy, and it keeps everything right there with you. And that's what I wanted with this card is you don't have to go back to base camp to buy anything because you have everything hooked on with you. It's all here.
Utilized its powers.
I try.
Yeah, look at that. I love how excited he is. I love it, man.
I'm psyched about it. I think it's cool. Even we'll get into that later, but it has been super, super handy.
Jamie,
and it does. It got your like right where you need it. You're not limited by range of motion, so it keeps things up tight. So I love that. I thought you captured that really nicely with that action, and I think it looks good. You did a nice professional job.
Thanks.
So nice job, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah. I like it. It's what I do. All right. Now you sent me a bunch of stuff with the pictures. And we're going to talk about. Well, yeah, you can talk about the wheel quick with the auction thing that we're doing.
Oh, and then I got Jamie. We're good. His name's on.
Okay. Good. And then you were in my brain, South Dakota. Yeah,
That's right.
That's where all these are from.
That's right. All that Google Drive I sent you today is all from my November trip to South Dakota. I did a solo whitetail hunt, just for freezer filler does, and it was my first
Nice.
Western hunt. So I think we had talked a little bit about you guys are starting a new segment on firsts for hunters. So I thought that would be something we could kind of add into the discussion just to get it started.
Sure.
Cool,
What I really listen as the tech guy, what I usually get from him is like just a conglomeration of unnamed, unlisted things, and it's like, no, grab this exact picture. I'm like, dude, I got nothing. But yours is actually named by days. I'm like, that is awesome. That makes my life so much easier.
Good. I know. So one thing we didn't really talk a little bit about last week that I'll just throw in there for that to kind of speak to that is I came out of a corporate environment. So communication, documentation, like it's all got to be so, right? So I've benefited in some ways from that, and that's one thing. It's just like I try to be super clear, and I'm very open to hearing what you guys need or anybody else. If you reach out to Brow Tine, if you reach out to me as an individual, I'm happy to help you out with anything I can. And I want to be able to clearly communicate with people because that's how you reach them, and that's also how you help them. So if there's ways that I can help out with Big Sexy or with just with any individual who's watching, tuning in right now, just let me know. I've got more experience than I wish I had doing stuff like that. So happy to help out in any way.
Yeah, I've been teaching for almost 20 years now, so I'm used to you have to have everything documented, organized, and filed away, and yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Comment your name, get a chance at some free stuff. Who doesn't want free stuff? You know?
Yeah.
If it's free, it's for me.
So this here's the first video you sent. What was the setup for this?
Okay, so this is on day one, and actually what this is Hay Canyon Butte that I'm standing on top of. So just to give a little bit of framework to the trip so people kind of know what we're talking about. Like I said, I went on a solo whitetail hunt out in South Dakota. My first Western hunt, period. I was born and raised in Northwest Ohio, so I've always had sort of aspirations of getting out west and hunting, and South Dakota was the most approachable state for me to take my first trip on. And I wasn't going to have a buddy, so I wanted to kind of keep it reasonable and also set a baseline for my skills. So I decided to go hunt the prairie for whitetail and drove out there. I spent 9 days hunting and ended up, we'll talk about kind of the results throughout this live session. But what you're seeing right here is kind of my first view to when I come into the Buffalo Grass National Grassland. Buffalo Gap National Grassland. And if you were to play that video, Chris, I'll let you play it and I'll kind of explain after.
Oh, it crashed. Dang it.
No worries. Well, I'll just go while you're figuring that out. Just go ahead.
I got this.
So basically, though, when you get there, it's this massive plain of just rolling hills, gullies, draws, drainages, and it's such an open place. And that's what I wanted to capture in that little video is I'm on top of a butte, which is essentially just a small pop up in the land, sort of a flat spot where it's higher elevation than everywhere else. And I'm standing on top of that butte, just like doing a 360-degree view. And it is crazy just how open it is. And with you guys in PA, I'm in Ohio, there's just not a lot of places where you can see for 30 miles. And that's what this is. You're looking about 30 miles out. And it's breathtaking.
Yeah. Let's see if it'll go this time. No. Nothing. Okay. I will figure this out. For some God only knows why reason, the what do you call it? The movie player in Windows is not loving StreamYard. So I'm going to try to open it with something else.
No problem.
See where we go from there. That's honestly the first I've ever had that happen. You know what we're going to do? Here's what we can do. Let's try it this way. Present video file. Go to downloads, Brow Tine. Day one, but I know it's Butte. It's just. Oh, hey, Brandon.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
That works.
We're doing. We're doing.
See ya. There you go. So you can just kind of tell. I mean, that's the Jeep. Where the Jeep is sitting is like another 70 feet above the general elevation of the area, and then I'm like another 25 feet above the Jeep. But distance, that's one thing I learned about that region is just distance is very difficult to gauge. Height is very difficult to gauge because there's no point of reference, you know. So you're not looking at a pine tree and going, oh, it's probably 70 foot, you know, tall. There's nothing to gauge it off of. And then you're just like, someone says, oh, well, go find a deer out there. And you just kind of scratch your head and go, like, where exactly?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a lot of terrain to scratch your head on. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, it is. I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say what I'm seeing here is maybe the Earth isn't flat, but I can see how people around here might think it is. It goes on forever.
Now you know why they named you Christopher after Christopher Columbus.
Yep.
That's exactly right. So it is. It's like you kind of give that deception or that perception of it just kind of going forever. And that region that's huntable that I was in is like 325,000 acres. So,
Wow.
I mean, you can literally walk for miles and miles and miles and never touch private land. And if you do, you know, you just turn around and walk for miles and miles and miles and miles away. It's crazy. So that was day one. I kind of looked at the landscape a little bit, and then I got my camp set up, which I built this collapsible awning for my Jeep. Kind of got set up there with my tent and everything. And what you're seeing on the grass there is basically ice. There's about a quarter inch of ice on everything. And right before I had gotten there, this ice storm had come through and just coated the landscape in this beautiful layer of ice, which was awesome from a visual perspective. But everything was just kind of wet and cold. And the temperatures were supposed to be in like the 30s and 40s. And the average temperature was about from anywhere from 10 degrees to about 20 degrees on average. So I wasn't really prepared for that kind of weather, to be honest. But I kind of, I hashed things together for 3 or 4 days, and then I had to adjust because there was another storm coming in. And if anybody's listening, tuning in from South Dakota or that region, I think it was last week, they got 5 feet of snow in that region, in that general area. So it's in the Black Hills. So just brutal weather, and a lot of it's influenced by the mountains that are over to the west, and these cold weather systems come off the mountains, and it's just brutal. So kind of day one, I got my camp set up and played around over there, and then day two, I started exploring and looking through these drainages, and what you're looking at here is sort of a gully that runs right in between these hills. So even from high up on that butte the day before, you're looking out over the landscape, and it looks like it's just kind of rolling hills. But then as you start to hike through it, you realize that there's these drop-offs of like 60 feet, 20 feet, 40 feet, whatever. It just like all of a sudden it's just boom, you're on top of it, and it just drops straight down. And you have these, essentially what they are is dried up riverbeds. And when you get these heavy, heavy spring rains, water has just kind of slowly over thousands of years eroded these drainages in. And if you could zoom in, actually a little bit, Chris, on the center of that, kind of where that dark spot is, to there, right in the center, perfect. So right where that dark spot is, just for the sake of discussion, if you go up and to the right just a touch, okay, what's in the center of the frame right now is what I would call a point. And in these drainages, think of it like your hands. On the sides of the drainages that form the valley, you have these points like that where it kind of follows the ridge of that feature, and then you have the kind of negative space in between them. Those are called draws. So the deer kind of like to hang out in the draws, and they'll poke their head over and kind of see what's going on, or they'll bed down in grass or kind of shaded areas during the warmer parts of the day. And it's very difficult to see them in there. And because there's just so much landscape, it's very difficult to zero in on where they are. But the basic mentality basically the process that you follow to find them and eventually hunt them is to go from drainage to drainage, find a glassing point, set up on a point somewhere, and look into the draws, look into the valley, and try to pinpoint those little hiding spots and investigate them with your binoculars or your spotting scope, and then just wait for something to either move or put a move on a drainage and try to basically walk through it and jump something up enough that you get a chance at it. So it can be a brutal landscape to hunt, to be honest.
So I have a question.
Please.
I seen your camping setup, which excited me. I thought that was cool that you just brought it right off your vehicle.
Yeah.
How many brow hooks were hanging in that?
Dude, at so many points. Actually, okay. I probably had like 7 of them in use at any given point. Obviously hanging in the rifle, but and any kind of gear. But the big thing that was just like the biggest help was, you have those Coleman lanterns. They're like the propane lanterns. If you guys camp, if you hunt, it is so freaking hard to find a place to hang one of those where it's not gonna like either burn something, burn you, cast shadows over whatever it is you're actually working on, or just like straight up fall off, because they make that handle kind of curved so it fits around the tank when you fold it down, which is great for storage, but it's essentially purposeless when you go to use it in the field. So it's a super handy device, but I use my brow hook. I put the clip end through that, basically over that little handle, and then you can hang it like anywhere, and it holds it out in a way enough that it's not going to burn your tarp or your tent side or anything like that. And it kind of holds it steady and allows it to move enough that it takes out that like jittering in the light that you sometimes get if you try to tie it, or if you try to use try to set it on your table or things like that. So I hung it off the cross beam of my awning, and it was super handy. And so that was a big help to have them there.
I knew it, man. I knew it. I want you to know. I knew it. I knew there was brow hooks all over that baby. I didn't even have to see.
I think there's actually, I'm looking to see, if you look at picture day 3, Ice 1, Chris, that's a good example. I think you can actually see the brow hook being used of the lantern there.
All right, we'll bring it in then.
So anyways, day three was like 3 degrees. Oh, this is cool. This is actually day 2. Yes, day 2. I'm hiking out to a drainage that's about 3.5 miles away, and I wanted to poke around out there. But on my way, I saw this rabbit, and the reason I wanted to share this with everybody is, like, we're so used to seeing prey animals in the context of like their prey. They understand that we're in danger and they flee from us. But out there are areas where like there are animals that have never seen people. This rabbit had never seen a person. It didn't know what I was. And the video that you're looking at right now was taken from about 15 feet away. I saw it like 80 yards away, and I was able to walk all the way up to it within 15 feet of it. And in fact, after I turned the video off, I got as close as I could. I made it like 3 or 4 yards away before it actually ducked into its hole. Or sorry, 3 or 4 feet away before it ducked into the hole, because it just had no idea what I was. And I think that is something we take for granted, but it's a really cool experience when you can get that close to something and take footage of it and just kind of see how it reacts to your presence, how it uses the environment that's around it. It's a special experience. So if you get a chance to go out to a place like that, don't just focus on your target species. Pay attention to what's going on around you, because there's all these beautiful things to enjoy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't mind me again. I'm just picture guy here. I'm just doing all the stuff.
Absolutely. So
understand.
I'll move on to sort of day 3. Day 2, I investigated the drainage. I ended up kind of glassing a little bit, didn't see anything. But at the end of the day, there's a couple things I want to note about the end of the day. Oh yeah, there you go. I've got a couple of brow hooks there securing my lantern. There's one on the lantern, then I had another one where I was hanging, my hat, my cooking tongs, whatever, keeping it all handy. And my water bottle too, trying to keep it out of the wind. Because when it's that cold and the wind is, 15 miles an hour, it'll freeze your water bottle solid like that. So try to keep it up and out of the wind or down and concealed. But I used that day 2 to go investigate. And by the end of the day, by the end of day 2, I hadn't seen another person in 48 hours. And you take for granted what that feels like. And we all want to believe that we're like superhuman, like, we're Superman, we're Batman, like nobody can touch us. We're like these impenetrable fortresses. And then you get we're big, sexy. He can't be beaten, right? And then you get out there and you realize that the things that you struggle with are way different than what you expect. I thought, man, the cold is going to get to me, or I'm going to get tired, or I'm not going to like the food that I'm having to kind of eat just for fuel. But then you realize, what it really got to me was I'm a very social person. I'm a very talkative person. And as you guys can tell, and I enjoy being with people, and just not talking to another human being for 48 hours was driving me nuts. I mean, I was on the verge of tears. Because it's just not a natural thing. We're herd species. We like to be we hunt in groups. We like to be in groups. We live in groups. And when you're on your own in an environment that you're unfamiliar with, it's like you're constantly on high alert, and it just drives your emotions insane. But what you're looking at now is day 3. In the morning, there's this unbelievable hoarfrost that just covered everything. And that night, it had gotten down to like 2 or 3 degrees, and there was about a 15-mile-an-hour wind. So I think the wind chill was like 10 below. And I was freezing my butt off. I slept really rough, and I woke up in the morning. And I'm considering writing a book about this whole experience. But I've written sort of a cold open, and I describe what it's like to wake up in that kind of weather. I had a pool of water on my chest, and I had to figure out where it was coming from. And what I realized was my vapor from my breath was freezing within inches of hitting the air above my face, turning into snow, then falling back onto my face, melting and freezing into ice. And my whole face was covered in a layer of ice. And my beard was sticking just down into my sleeping bag, and it melted into a puddle on between my clavicles. And it was just, it was kind of one of those unbelievable wake up calls where you're like, dang, dude, like it is cold out here. And I ended up at that point kind of looking at the weather forecasts. I was dealing with the situation as best I could, and everything was working out fine. But I was looking into the week basically, and we're going to get snow, and it was going to get even colder. And at that point, I just said, you know what, it's time to have an audible, call an audible and grab a place to stay where I can drive in the mornings. And I adjusted my whole strategy around that, because when you're out in a place like this by yourself, you want to push your limits, you want to see what you're capable of, but you also have to be smart because you're by yourself and nobody's coming to help. And if something happens to you, I mean, if you're asleep and you get wet and suddenly you get really cold and you wake up, if you go back to sleep, you might not wake up again. So you have to be mindful of those things. But
what did you do for heat?
Go again?
What did you have for heat?
I didn't. So I had for my sleeping system was basically a sleeping bag, and then I had like a high R value sleeping pad, and then I had a second sleeping pad underneath that, and then I had 2 fleece blankets and two fleece blankets, and then I had a wool blanket over top of that. So I wanted to get enough sort of ventilation in a sense to allow
Yeah.
things to breathe. But what I really found out is that my sleeping bag was insufficient. It was just not. For one thing, I was not rated as well as I thought it was, and two, a lot of the insulation over the last 15 years of me using it had gotten redistributed and I had a lot of cold spots. So if you're ever going to do something like this, it's definitely worth making sure that your sleeping bag is good to go and that you don't have any holes in your sleeping pad and things like that. So I dealt with it for 3 or 4 days, or it ended up being 4 days, and that was enough. I figured at that point, I said, you know what? If it gets even colder, I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah. I know when, because I like to go camping, when Kat and I go out and, we take the kids and everything. And if it's going to be in April or one of the earlier, we always take like this, what's it called? Like the My Heat Buddy or something like that.
It's like one of those little propane heaters.
Right. But we got the 20 pound conversion kit. So you could use the big, yeah. And we have a 12-person tent, and it's bigger than my kitchen, for Christ's sake.
Wow.
But that thing actually keeps it about 25, 30 degrees warmer than the outside.
Oh, dude.
So I'd always recommend getting one of those. It doesn't take up much room, but anyway.
He wrote Big Sexy on it. It's that little heating buddy. He wrote Big Sexy across it. Just
yeah, you cook your eggs on it in the morning. Yeah. No, that's a heads up play, actually. That's a good thought. So what you're looking at now is essentially day 4. So moving on from day 3. Day 3, I got up. I went and glassed some areas. And it actually ended up seeing some mule deer. And if you want to see those, you can jump on the Brow Tine Instagram, which is just at Brow Tine Innovations. And there's like a short video from the other day that where I posted that. And that particular video is just a glimpse. But I got to watch a mule deer buck tend a mule deer doe for probably like 30 or 40 minutes. And it was really something special because we got to see from maybe like I guess it was like almost 800 yards away, just watch them. And it was just something special. But day 4, I went to go investigate this drainage, or this valley here. It's almost like a little basin. And this is the sunrise. I mean, it was just unbelievable. But I hiked about 2 miles in the dark through the landscape to get over to this ridge and set up behind these little deals here and basically just watched the valley. And I didn't see a single whitetail. So it's like day 4, haven't seen any whitetails at all. With my tracks were 2 whitetail does. And, I've been pounding dirt. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to just get up and I'm going to hang, just like fire down this valley, check everything out. And that was that next thing. What's up, Ben?
I don't want to interrupt you. I love your story, man. I love your pictures. But, Chris, can you go back to that picture?
Which one?
The one you just showed.
That picture.
Yeah, the one you just showed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you that I wasn't there and I haven't seen anything, but that picture is beautiful. So I can't imagine any doe you might have shot that looked as nice as that.
Oh, dude, it was, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was in Psalm 23 today, which is the rising of the doe. And you should really go read that and then sit and look at a picture like this or think of an experience that you've had where you've watched the sun come up, because it really does, you look at just like what you're looking at in that picture, it's 360 degrees. So that's only a fraction of what you're surrounded by in that moment. And it's just to see God's creation, to see what is there, to see the intricacy of it from each blade of grass out to the way the sun shines across the bottoms of the clouds and how each individual shrub and bush and point and butte kind of stick up and make the landscape. It's just such an incredible thing to see. And
I couldn't imagine, honestly. I couldn't imagine. I'm looking at that picture and I'm big on sunsets. I couldn't imagine what you thought the moment that happened.
Oh, dude, it's beyond words. It's difficult to explain. If I do end up writing a book, it's going to be hard to describe that because there's the physical description of it, but the emotional sort of personal interpretation of it all is it's very difficult to put your finger on. And I'm sure we've all had moments like that when you're in the deer stand and you see the sun come up, or whether you're out there, getting after some pheasants or looking after rabbits, which I want to hear more about, Ben. You got these opportunities to stop and take it all in. And that was one of those times when it was like, man, I have no option but to just enjoy it. But I hiked around that drainage and for basically the rest of the day, and hung out there. I found a fossil, which was super cool, and it's multi-use land there. So I marked the GPS and took the fossil, which is part of what you're allowed to do on those multi-use pieces. So I have a really cool fossilized shell that I was able to bring home. And also just found some prairie dog towns and just kicked around. It was a really, really special. What's this, Jamie? What's Jamie say? Jamie says you should see a sunrise from the top of a mountain in Colorado Rocky Mountains. Only description I can think of from 13,000 feet is this is the closest to God I'll ever come. So I honestly, Jamie, word. I hiked down in New Mexico when I was a kid. I was in Boy Scouts, and I think I was 16 years old, and we climbed Mount Baldy, which is like 12,786 feet. And we could see the Colorado Rockies from where we were on top of that mountain. And we were in the afternoon, so we didn't get to see a sunrise, but I know how breathtaking that view was from there. I can only imagine in the early morning or in the late evening just how special that is. So that's so cool that you got to have that experience and that you get to share it with others.
God is good. I'm going to say that a million times on every show. God is good. Without him, we have none of this stuff. None of it. We can't hunt these awesome animals. We can't see these great views, and so many people forget that.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Ben. And that was honestly a huge part of the trip for me, was just reminding myself that, it's like every breath is a gift. And when you wake up and your face is covered with ice, and you're just like, hey, I'm just happy to be up this morning and moving, to have feeling in my body and to have the strength to do what I need to do. And, I'll point out even on this, on this picture that Chris is showing, there's that sticker from our company, which is Brow Tine Innovations. It says ancient problems, contemporary solutions. There's things that we've been dealing with as people since the day we became hunters. Since 10,000 years ago, we started hunting around. And for me, it's about identifying those things that we deal with and struggle with as people, not just as hunters or fishers, or anglers, campers, etc., but just as people, as well as those passions that we pursue, and finding solutions to them. And so many of our problems can be solved simply by just going to God with it, and also by going to our friends, people like Ben, Chris, Brandon, dudes that are looking for solutions and trying to do right by other people. It's a great way to live your life, and it's an important part of our ethos, sort of as a company, is to look for good modern solutions and also understand those things that are part of human nature. So. This is a snowstorm. So I told you guys I had to adjust and grab an Airbnb to stay in because this snowstorm was coming in. And the snow you see on the ground is just sort of a smattering, just a little taste of what's coming in. And the landscape is so flat, generally so flat, like we were talking about. You can see things coming from miles. So I just watched this snowstorm come in from 35, 40 miles away. And it was really something to see, especially with the wind. I mean, it was 20-mile-an-hour wind. It's 20 degrees out, just freezing your butt off. And you're watching these clouds come in and you're just thinking dude, the sun is just saying goodbye right now. But that night, that morning, I had an encounter with a doe at about 250 yards. I set up just on a little point and had one walk up sort of on the opposing point of the drain, basically of this valley that I was sitting in. And it was, silhouetted by the hill that was behind it, but it was just a little too early in the morning to be able to tell. And there's mule deer and whitetail there. So you have to consider that. And, it's a doe. Is it a whitetail? Is it a mule deer? I don't know. At 20 minutes before sunrise, can you really tell? It's for me, the answer was no, so I had to pass on it. But it was cool to see it poke around. And I investigated the riverbed that was at the bottom of the valley the rest of the day before I moved on to some sagebrush seas that I ended up hunting the next day. Which I think which is where I found this shed. So this shed is just a little fork shed. It's maybe, I don't know, you guys can't tell basically frame, but it was maybe like 8 inches long total. And but it was just super cool because, again, haven't seen a deer, a whitetail, in 6 days. And it was just like, to see that on the ground was just like, it's a year old, right?
Did anybody see that comment? I'm not laughing at you. Did anybody see that comment? I'm sorry, I chuckled out loud.
Yes. that is probably exactly what she was thinking. In fact, actually, that same day I saw that doe, I ran into some guys that were hunting, and they said, what are you doing out here? And they're like, oh, I told them. And they say, wait, are you the guy that was camping out in the Buffalo National Grassland? And I was like, yeah, I was out there. And they're like, we heard about you. They had talked to some hunters that had passed my camp while I was out hunting. And they thought, these guys were so like, they're like, what is this moron doing? They felt compelled to just tell a stranger at the gas station 30 miles away, oh yeah, there's some idiot out there camping in the grassland. And that was me. So what can you do? Oh, that was Sam Inbody. Oh, dude, Sam is hilarious. That's a good buddy of mine. Thanks for commenting that, Sam. I appreciate that. But another thing that I found out there while I was hunting the sagebrush seas, and this is in a little kind of basin in between some ridges that had some junipers in it, was this little doe. And I actually posted about this, I think it was yesterday, on Instagram. And I don't know the exact situation. So I try to be careful not to judge people based off of what I see after or before, because I don't understand the context of what happened here. But it looked to me like somebody had hunted this doe, which, again, this is the first whitetail doe I've seen in person, and it's dead. It's on the ground. And
I couldn't imagine. You probably cried after all them cold nights.
Dude, it was tough. I wouldn't say that I'm like I'm an overly emotional person. I'll admit that. But at the end of the day, like, I saw this thing and it was sad because there was a lot of meat on the bone. They hadn't taken the neck roasts. Obviously, they'd left the briskets. They'd left the skirt steaks. They'd left half of the tenderloin on the other side. They'd left the tenderloins and they'd left the back strap on the back side. And it was just like, man, knowing how hard I'd been hunting and knowing like how much I was going to appreciate having any meat at all, it was really tough to see, especially because this was only a couple 100 yards away from a parking area. So it just, again, I don't know what the context of the situation was, but it seemed like that person really missed an opportunity to enjoy all of the harvest that they had an opportunity to have. So I'm a huge advocate for taking it as much as you can. Today, actually, this is the first time I was able to successfully do it. That doe that I took on Friday, we took the heart and the liver, and the heart and the liver were very good. I ate them tonight, actually. The liver was very tasty. And my wife did as well. My wife's a real good sport. She just reminded me that. Yeah, we had the liver and the heart. And it was really good. So I'm a huge advocate. Take as much as you can because it's all good. You just got to figure out how to cook it. So
you know what my favorite thing to do with the heart is?
What's that?
Jerky.
Really?
Oh my God! It's my kids go crazy over it. It's the best jerky you ever eat.
That's a waste of the heart, man.
I'm telling you, man, I make jerky into it. My kids go crazy over it. I marinate it for 3 days and throw it on a dehydrator. Now I make it thick, real thick.
Yeah.
I don't make it like regular jerky. I'd only cut like 1/8 inch. You know what I mean? This here I make about 3/8, almost like a mini steak. And I just dehydrated enough that it's crispy outside, but it's real juicy inside. My kids go crazy over it.
That sounds really good, actually. Yeah. So the thing is, Brandon, he shoots like 15 deer a year. So, like, he can do whatever he wants with the heart. Like,
man, I wish that was the case, brother. I've had some great years, man, but this year has been rough. I'll tell you.
It's been rough in Ohio, too.
My kid, listen, my daughter shot her first a 5-point this year, a doe which we filmed. I
That
don't
was
care.
a cool
I
video.
don't. Yeah,
Anybody
I don't
wants
care.
it, they need to go check that video out because that was a super cool video of her getting that doe.
I was crying, dude. I mean, it was a great video. I was stoked.
Yeah, it was a good one, but I would never turn the heart into jerky. Oh, can't do it.
It's sacrilege for Brandon.
It is. It truly is. I'm not gonna lie. Like turning anything into jerky, I'm not like a let's turn this into jerky kind of guy.
I've never tried it before.
It tastes good. Like I have buddies that do it, but I feel like jerky's like the unimaginative like escape of what do I do with this random meat?
Oh my God, jerky's phenomenal. That's all we eat: jerky, bologna, sticks. I don't eat steaks. I don't eat. Man, we eat all the good snack stuff. We like the stuff we can put in a bag and carry with us.
That's actually that is the one side of it. So basically, the last 3 deer that I've butchered myself, I've done everything as whole cuts, roasts, or steaks. And so like I love. Don't get me wrong. Like that's the reason I do it is because I love it. But I don't make any grind whatsoever. Zero burger. And then I don't do any, like I've not done any jerky or anything. So my experience level with like making things that, are, kind of prescribed from the ground meat or from jerky and stuff like that, I just haven't tried. So a big part of it is I just need to experiment a little bit with that. But once you like make a really, really good deer roast, I feel like it like to dip your toe back and like kind of like start to grind it just feels wrong, even though I'm sure it is. So,
I do think that depends on like how many deer you actually harvest a year, and not only that, but what are you doing with your shanks? Are you whole roasting your shanks?
Well, I do 3 things. So when I butcher out, I keep the shanks whole.
Okay.
I freeze them that way with bone if I can. There's sometimes like this time I couldn't because of I was hunting in a CWD surveillance zone. But if I can keep it, I keep it whole, and then I'll either cut it into medallions and do ossobuco with it. I'll do a whole shank vindaloo with it, or I'll do shank roasts, and all of them are just so good.
I don't want to upset nobody here, but I have 2.5 5-gallon buckets of ground venison. I'm stuffing tomorrow, and the sausage, bologna, and sticks. So I'm sorry to break everybody's heart.
No, I'm not knocking you for it. Like I grind a lot. You can do so much with grind that I grind a ton of it. Like I've got pepperoni that I need to make for Christmas gifts to give away here, so that's gonna happen here in 2 days. I got stuff, but yeah, jerky's just not something that I get into making because I feel like the grind of that jerky meat could be used somewhere else.
It can be. It can be. I like snacks. I like, taking it to work. I like when I'm hunting in a tree stand, I can pull it out of a bag.
See, and that's the gap that I have in my food is like I don't have stuff like that. So I'd be interested in learning how you make it because like that is genuinely like it's a nutritional gap in my life.
I can help you. I make it all the time easy too. My recipes are simple.
No, I would love to hear it.
I'm gonna call.
And then what I'll do is I'll write a little bit about how Brandon doesn't know anything about anything or something.
Yeah, it's okay. We can do that.
We're gonna call it the Deshane Jerky.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Oh man, but no, I've always been one to break muscle groups right down to what they're supposed to be, and then go cooking steaks out of them, or if we have more steaks than what we're gonna eat, then I go and drop it into the grind.
Bro, you ain't breaking down this muscle group.
No, dude, that's too much.
It's too much cutting to get to the muscle group.
Gotcha. Ooh, I heard a little bit. That one stabbed a little bit right
here. Don't worry, there's plenty of cutting over here too. It's gotta happen.
I don't think any of us can talk yet.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm excited to see this video. I heard hunting in South Dakota for whitetails, and then Chris killed it. And I'm like in suspense, just waiting to hear the rest of this clip, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's rock and roll.
South Dakota whitetails. That's a lot of work.
So this is like day 6. I saw my first deer that morning, in person, and I jumped them. I came around a corner, and like I knew they were going to be. Basically, they were exactly where I'm sitting right now in this video, and they were hanging out around this juniper tree, and I was like, oh, there's got to be some deer over there. It's perfect. It was a cold, windy day. They're on sort of the lee side of a hill. I'm expecting that they're going to be that kind of around that area, sunning themselves and staying warm out of the wind. And I turned the corner around sort of the edge, like kind of like the ridge of the hill. And I'm like standing there. I'm kind of looking. I've got my binoculars. I'm looking. And I'm standing straight up, like I'm standing right in the middle of all this sagebrush and all this. It comes up to about your knee to maybe halfway up your thigh. And then I see this head poke up, and then I see 2 white flags, and just like off they go. And I was like, oh, geez, I've my shooting sticks in my pack. I'm trying to get my binoculars put back in my chest harness, and I've got my rifle. I'm throwing them around, and I'm waiting for them to stop. And I'm like, I have no idea how far away they were. And honestly, I made a couple of really stupid shots trying to put one down. I shot right over the back of both of them. And it was just an embarrassing situation. But I wasn't excited. Like I was so excited I wasn't ready. Because it's again like 6 days. Here you walk from your mailbox to your barn and you see 12 deer, and then you go out there and you haven't seen any in 6 days. It's you just get excited. But what I learned about that region was just how to kind of identify where they are, and that was part of it, was that knowing the weather, understanding the way that they use the hills. And the second was taking advantage of the man-made things like this barbed wire that's in this photo. And you can do this here, PA, wherever you are. Walk the property lines, because deer are just like people. They don't like to work any harder than they have to in general. So they'll take the path of least resistance. And this happened to be in a draw at the bottom of this little valley. And what they were doing is they were just following the natural irrigation of the land, sort of like the way the water would follow. And when they jump over fences, they'll only jump high enough to clear the fence. So sometimes they misjudge it a little bit and they'll clip themselves on the top of the fence. So if you've got any kind of fence that isn't like just a bar, like a steel bar fence, sometimes they'll leave clips of hair or things like that, and you can see where they're crossing in and out of the property, which helps you later when you want to ambush them or when you want to try to anticipate their movements when they've kind of tried to run away from you. So little things like that. I'm going to start putting out a series. Actually, this is going to be tip number 1, but I'm going to start putting a series out on Instagram and Facebook for hunting tips starting Christmas Eve day. And that's going to be the first tip, is always walk the property lines if you have the option so that you can investigate. So this is looking at a little river drainage, and this is like the next couple days I started hunting this river drainage, and there's this cut CRP cornfield behind me, and I'm on this ridge looking down on that riverbed, and I had investigated that riverbed the one afternoon and found tons of sign. I mean, like scat that was warm. Like I put my hand over it and I could feel the heat coming off of it. So they'd just been there within 15 minutes, and it was really so I knew that they were down in there, and it was sort of that marshy, thick stuff that we're really used to here in the Midwest and the Appalachian region. And so it was like, okay, this is familiar to me. Like I understand it. I know how to get to it. So anyways, that I ended up setting up there, and eventually that's what led to me identifying the deer that I was able to take, and there it is. And so I'll kind of give you a quick rundown of how that happened, because I do want to wrap up my story.
Does that have spots?
No, not quite.
I'm just playing. I swear.
It's funny though, because so I shot a button buck actually on Friday. It was a button buck. And that button buck, so a yearling here in Ohio, was bigger than this. And this doe, I'm guessing, was somewhere between 3 and 5 years old. It was a very mature doe for the area. and it was bedded down with an absolutely it was one of the biggest bucks I've seen antler wise in my life. But I didn't have a tag for a buck, so I had to shoot the doe. But it was an awesome experience to get to take this. And basically the way I found it is I was ready to pack it in. It was day 9. It was the last day I was hunting, and I just felt that sort of Holy Spirit just poking me, like, hey, go look over the hill, go walk a little bit further. And I ended up walking about a mile away from where I had planned to call it quits for the week. And, I looked over this hill and I didn't really take a good look, and I turned around, and then I kind of felt that poke again, like, hey, go give it an honest look. It's like, okay, fine. I'll give it an honest look. So I turn around and I walk over, I stick my head back over the hill. I take a couple more steps, and I'm looking over the ridge, and I see these 2 little tips of ears. And there is a white-tailed doe sitting there. So I was like, oh man, I'm getting excited. And I pull up my rifle, and I was shooting like a 6.5 Creedmoor. It was a Mossberg Patriot with a Vortex Crossfire 2. I think it's a 6 to 18 by 44 lens. And this doe was sitting at about 145 yards. I ranged her. I've got a SIG range finder, which I really like. It's a 1400 BX, and really like that. So I range her, and I'm just kind of just, she's checking. She's looking at me. She kind of knows something's going on, but she's not real sure. And I'm just trying to move at like a snail's pace. And so my shooting stick's in my bag. So I'm just like, just doing one of these just as slow as I can. And the whole thing to get set up took about 2.5 minutes. It was just like this staring match where we didn't take our eyes off of each other for about 2.5 minutes. And I finally got comfortable, and she was laying down. So I've never shot at a deer that was laying down. And I certainly haven't ever shot a deer that was laying down, face slightly away from me, and also like from a ridge where I was shooting down at an angle. So I ended up shooting just in front of her the first time, and I missed it, clean miss. But then she stood up and turned away from me and then stopped, and she was kind of quartering away from me, she had kind of stepped out to the right, put her right front foot forward a little bit, and kind of turned their head like they do. And I was in the process of kind of breathing, praying, getting cautious, being as composed as I could be. And then as I was clearing the trigger sear, she then took a step to the left and did the other thing. So the bullet went in through the back of the ribs there, tore through the shoulder, hit the right lung. The hydrostatic shock basically jellied the lungs, and then it exited through the right shoulder on the same side and blew out the shoulder. So she ran maybe 30, 40 yards back into the corn, and I was like, okay. And her tail went down. She ran in. I was like, okay, this is good. And I was just like so excited, but I was just still trying to figure out. I'm still watching. I'm still like, it hasn't really sunk in yet. I'm just watching. And then this buck steps out from behind this cottonwood tree that was right next to her. And it's just like this massive freaking buck. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. And then it turns around, smells his scent, and he's like, where's my girlfriend? And so he starts following the scent that she left, and he bumped her out of the field. And had she had enough time to lay there in the field and die, she would have died. But he bumped her, and she ran a long ways. And I ended up finally recovering her on private land. I had to go get permission from a rancher, but I was able to get back to her about 45 minutes to an hour later in a pasture about 700 yards away. Wow. But it was an incredible experience, and it was just so fulfilling then to be able to be at that point and be like, man, 9 days of grinding to get there. So God is good. It was an amazing experience. I highly recommend it. If anybody has any questions, I know we've been answering questions as we go. But it was just, it was incredible. And I recommend it to anybody who can do it.
Is that the buck there?
No, this is a little. This is the biggest buck I've ever seen. No, this is actually a little forky. Not even a forky. He's a little spike buck.
Oh, I can see it. I
And
blew the screen up. I just made it the whole size of my TV. Now I can see it.
you're good. So that was the 9th morning. Actually, I had seen that buck and the doe that I ended up shooting on, the big buck and the doe that I ended up shooting on the 9th day. I had seen the night before at this location, and so I thought, hey, I'll catch them on their way back to bed in the morning. So I went to that same location, sat behind that juniper tree, and that little tiny spike came, and I thought it was a doe, because its spikes were so small I couldn't even see it behind the ears. And again, God was with me. He tapped me on the shoulder and he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm looking through the scope. Deer's head is sideways. It's just like one of these situations." And I'm looking. I was like, "That's a doe. It's a doe for sure." And, and then it looks at me and it's missing its right antler, and there's just this little dinky 2-inch little spike on the other side. And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" So,
God must have slept in the day that I shot mine. Then
mm-hmm.
he slept in that day because I couldn't tell that was a spike horn when I shot him. But it happens.
It does. And in fact, even Friday, the button buck that I shot, I thought it was a doe. But I was 25, 30 yards away, and it was dim. It was maybe 20 minutes before official sunset, and I let it have it, and it turned out to be a little button buck. But I'm not disappointed by that. I mean,
No, tag him up.
Not 9 days of hard work, brother. It had to pay off. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you. It did. And this is sort of the culmination of it.
Got it done after 9 days. Lots of hard work, but it all paid off. God was good to us and blessed me with an awesome doe at the morning of my last day. So, super amped. There is the carcass, picked clean. There is the skin, ready to go. I've got the tag still on the leg. And a bunch of meat, which we're gonna have to clean up, but it's gonna be good. So I think we were able to get as much off of it as we were, considering the placements of the shots, and I am super amped. So
So I got to ask you this. At that moment, I heard your voice. Okay, I'm emotional son of a gun myself. So I heard your voice. I see you kind of stop and look at the sky, and at that moment, what was your thoughts?
Oh, dude, I think it was overwhelming, and it's like you hear me just kind of go like, there's just like, when you've worked so hard for something, and you lose, and in that process, like I missed deer. I had questioned whether I should have come out there. I had gotten emotional. I had missed my wife. I missed my family. I missed my friends. I was cold every single day, and you start to question yourself. And it was actually that second night I remember being in camp and praying to God and just saying, "I know you're with me. I know you're with me." And just trying to stay. Yeah, exactly. That's Psalm 23. It is.
The whole time you were talking, I was typing that, man. I felt that every story you were telling. I felt that.
And that's what it is. It's like you're going through an ordeal in a sense. And so when I got to the end of it, it's like by the time I had recovered the deer and got to it and butchered it and did everything, I was dog tired. I was absolutely exhausted. I was spent. And I still needed to go break down the legs and do everything, and actually butcher the legs out, because it's all got to be deboned before you can go over state lines. And I was just whipped, and I was so grateful that it had turned out that way. That it's like I didn't even have the energy to really process it. It was just like,
thank you, Jesus. Right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus, and thank you for all the people that had supported me to get that. My wife, who's working while I run my business and try to get it off the ground. Thank you to guys like you guys who are supportive and encouraging, to my friends, to my family who helped, everything from just talking through the planning of the trip to just like, hey, what are you going to do if this happens, and running through hypotheticals. And I couldn't have done it by myself. And in that moment, what I was really doing is looking at the sky and going like, it all came together, and it came together in a way that gave me confidence and comfort in knowing that, like, hey, even if I hadn't gotten this deer right now, what an incredible experience, and what a great way to put a bow on, a 9-day hunting trip.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
God is good. 9 days, last 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that. God is good. I can't. You watch that video with my daughter, and all I kept saying to her is, if you make the right choice, God will reward you. He'll reward you. Just make the right choice. And she said, you know what, Dad, I'm going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't 25 minutes of her snoring in a chair. I said, here comes one you can shoot. Get ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's his patience and composure. And 3 days before that, I didn't have it. I was itchy trigger finger. I was like, Brandon was talking about buck fever the other day. I had doe fever. I was just like I had rabbit fever. I had every kind of fever, because anytime something moved, I was like, oh my gosh, is that it? Like, no. So it was an exercise and an education in composure. And even this couple days ago, getting my first deer here in Ohio for this year, it was an exercise in composure. I ended up shooting this button buck at 25 yards, and I had 3 other deer standing there, and I had to stay still for another 15 minutes while they milled around and tried to figure out what was going on, so that I didn't blow out that stand for later in this deep winter. So it was just exercise in composure and patience. And that's what hunting is for me. Is I need patience and I need composure, and it just helps me build those skills. And God's been good to give it to me as a medium to do it through. So
I love it.
Mm-hmm. What questions did you guys have?
I pretty well asked mine. I'm a guy who can read your face. I can read your face. I'm more into what you're seeing, your pictures, I seen that sunset. That was a big one for me. What was your thoughts? If you killed nothing your trip and you seen that sunset, and you answered that. And where, when I see, honestly, at the very end, when you looked at the sky and you breathed a sigh of relief, I had to know what you're thinking at that moment, because I know for me, I would be emotional. I would be like, God, without you, I don't know what I would have done. And so for me, that was huge. These two guys, I'm sure, have some questions, but you pretty well answered mine, man. I appreciate every ounce of it.
Good. Appreciate that.
What took you so long to kill a deer, man? I mean, come on.
Dude, I didn't have you with me. That was the problem. I needed
a longer range spotting scope.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what it was. The thing is, there was the fact that there just aren't very many whitetail out there.
Yeah, there's not a ton out there.
And then secondly, it was just like the first when I really think about it, the first 3 to 5 days, I was looking at a place where there were no whitetail, period. Like, there just weren't any there.
Yeah.
And because I had, honestly, I wrote off all the experience and knowledge I had. And if there was something that somebody asked, like, hey, what should I remember when I go out to do my first Western hunt? It's that, like, your knowledge and experience is not invaluable. It's invaluable. It's not, don't throw it out the window. Just because you're in a different environment doesn't mean the animal's biology has significantly changed. It's ecology.
Yeah, they're all the same. It's the same species that you're after. So right. I feel like, did you happen to have any topographical maps with you and things like that?
I did, yeah. I use Onyx, which I'm a huge fan of. And then I also went on to USGS and got a bunch of topographical maps.
Yeah, I think those are probably your best friends if you really used them, even like right off the bat. I mean, those deer are going to be creatures of habit. So as heat rises coming up out of that draw, they're going to move with the warmth because it was so damn cold. And I think always look for transition zones is probably like a really good pointer. I'm sure you figured that out after a few days of like, wow, I'm not seeing deer out here in the open prairie. Yeah, because they're in transition zones trying to hide or trying to stay with the heat or with the sun or whatever it be. The only thing I think probably different out there is the whitetails don't have the cover. that we have where we are. So I think
Mhm.
cover sources are probably, like you said, you saw them near the trees and stuff like that. I mean, that's good cover for them. So
Absolutely.
that's
And you know, they don't have room. They don't have room for error out there.
no, because they'll
And
get
so
taken out.
they don't stick around to ask questions. If they think you're there, they're gone. Here, like in Ohio, like there's enough people around and they're in close enough proximity to cover and people throughout the day that it's like, okay, well, they might stick their head out a little bit further just to see what's going on. But there, not a chance. If they see movement, they're gone.
I think also windage too.
Mhm.
Sorry, Chris. Go ahead, man.
No, go ahead. No.
I was just saying that the windage there, um, you don't have enough transition zones that windage doesn't matter within a certain range like you
Yeah,
do.
it's true. It's true.
So when you're sitting on top of a hill, if the wind switches like that, whatever
Mhm.
you were just looking at is not going to be there in the next 15 minutes. Like it's
True.
just not. So
Well,
I
and when the way the wind moves there too, it's so fast that
Yeah.
and there's so little in between you physically that yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean you could be 500 yards away.
and they'll smell you.
That's not a joke. 500 yards away, and within a couple minutes they'll be like, "Hey, what's something's
Yeah.
over there?" And
Can literally stare at a deer and all of a sudden they'll just crack their head around and be gone.
hmm
Yep. So
Now,
it's
I will say, we can make your other wish come true. You said you wished you had Brandon with you on a hunt, and you know,
Oh, there we go. That's
Yeah.
what I need. I should have had that card, man. I should.
I don't know if my duck
That's it.
gun's gonna help you for that, but we could try. Actually, my duck gun didn't even help me yesterday. Who the hell am I kidding?
Well, you got one right. You got a triple curl, didn't you?
Yeah, I was not happy though because I should have had a pile of them sitting in front of me, and literally first round go to rack it, and I'm like, what the heck? But the week before, or Thursday actually, I had left a ton of ammo in my ammo belt, and that thing got soaked, and then it sat in the back of my truck, and then it got dried out on Saturday night. So literally all the brass was just rusted around that thing, and that's exactly what had happened. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. But it was probably the coolest for this season flock cupped and committed situation that I've had, and I was by myself, and I was like, you guys bailed on me.
And no
And
footage. And no footage. Just saying.
Listen,
Oh,
buddy.
oh, I'm sorry. Let's say that out loud. Oh,
It's okay. It's okay. It'll be fine. Every single bird that was there was a greenhead. They all cupped and committed in turn, and I called them from, I don't know, 550 yards away. They wanted to drop into another hole. And literally, I'm like, guys, you've got to be. It looked like a Tony. You guys know who Tony Vandemore is? He's a guy for, I think he's Bass Pro Shops, like waterfowl rep.
I thought he was gay pride spokesman.
No. I hear that's Benjamin Brown. So literally, this guy shoots videos of like thousands of ducks dropping into all of the duck holes.
I know
But
this guy.
yeah, he's amazing. But that's what it felt like, and I was just like, I cannot believe all you guys bailed because we could have had a limit of mallards right there and been done.
Well, if you had wanted to go on my hunt on Sunday morning with my brother and I, you would have been welcome. But we didn't see any ducks, and my waders froze solid. So.
Oh yeah, that happens to us all the time.
Those are the good hunts. I'm just pointing that out. Not only do you not see anything, but you froze solid in the process. Those are the best.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
You know, I wasn't moving at all.
Those are the ones I want you to know that God says, hey, guys, I'm still in charge. I got it.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's your reality check when he says you think you had it all figured out, and guess who's here?
Yeah, about that point, he usually goes, by the way, you need to go to the bathroom and your waiters won't move. That's usually what happened.
That's exactly right. I was actually joking with my brother. So that was my first time taking my brother out. He had never gone duck hunting before.
Yeah.
And so it was an awesome thing. And I love my brother to death. He's 2 years older than me. He's my best friend. He's a huge motivator for me and just a companion in so many ways. And he and I had a great time, but it was good because they weren't flying, because we weren't seeing anything. It gave us a ton of time to just kid around and joke. And
Yeah.
I've got an idea for a short story that I'm going to write called "The Man with the Leaky Waders."
Oh God. I know where
And,
this is heading.
yeah, it's so yeah, that's exactly right. You know, it's when your waders are frozen. He said, "What do you do if your waders are frozen and you gotta go to the bathroom?" I was like, "The man with the leaky waders, dude.
Heat them out, bro. Heat them out. There's only one way.
Yeah, you gotta fight the fight, you know." He thought that was pretty funny. But
Chris, I know you got questions, brother. Let's hear them.
No, I mean, a lot of it was answered. My main things, again, I've always wanted to take that kind of a trip, and my main things like, what kind of provisions, like how did you plan for a 9-day every meal away from, or did you plan to, like you saw that rabbit, boom, pop one and take it with you to grub on?
No, great question. So I had actually considered doing some small game hunting. Part of my goals for the trip were to learn a little bit about how like the Western tag systems work. And a lot of states, when you get a big game tag, like it comes with rights and provisions to hunt many small game species that are not controlled in a sense, like rabbits and squirrels and prairie dogs and things like that. So I brought a 22 handgun with me. I have like one of those Browning buck marks, which are real accurate, real handy 22 handguns, and I brought one of those with me. So hunt with them in South Dakota. I stuck it in my backpack, and I thought, if I see some rabbits, I can always use that. But I ended up not doing that in large part because what I realized is it was so cold, and I was like, man, it's like I'm gonna take this thing and I'm gonna throw it in my bag. By the time I get back to the truck, which is 4 miles away, it's gonna be frozen. But back to camp, right? Then I'm gonna have to thaw this thing out and cook it, and I have canned chicken and all this other stuff in the car. So like, why would I? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense logistically, given the temperatures and everything else. And plus, I was just enjoying watching them. But really, the short answer is. You just try to think about your caloric intake, what you expect to do, what you expect not to do, what the temperatures are going to be. You're going to burn a lot of calories a day. My resting metabolic rate is somewhere around 3,000 calories a day. So I assumed if I'm going to be hiking 5 to 7 miles a day, and it's going to be that cold, I'm probably going to need to consume an extra 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day minimum to make sure that I don't lose weight. And I just kind of I took a swing at it. And I did my best to guess at what I would need. And then I did a lot of hiking when I was, again, through Boy Scouts and just as an individual joy that I take. And same thing. So lots of pre-cooked meat, lots of granola bars, but trying to make sure that I had a variety of like dried fruits, dried vegetables, things like applesauce or vegetable sauce and things like that, just so that I've got some variety in my diet. Dietary supplements like Metamucil, I'm not a huge fan of it, but when you're stressed and you're cold and you're taking in a lot of protein because that's what you need to make sure that in my mind, you've got to have something just in case, and you got to keep things moving, otherwise you'll get backed up. So stuff like that. Water was a big deal. There's no water out there. I mean, it's so dry. That even the water that was there was frozen solid. So if you really needed water, you're not going to get it. Because you just have no way to get at it. And so I had 2 5-gallon hard plastic containers full of water, and even those I had to work daily. I had to take water out, boil it, get it warm, pull it back in to melt the whole thing because overnight it would partially freeze. Had to add vodka to the water to keep it from freezing completely, things like that. Just kind of think
that was heartbreaking, huh? I bet that was a really rough one to get through.
You understand.
Yeah. You having one of them days, you're like, this will really help unfreeze. Oh, that's a little too much.
I did now talking of provisions, Chris, I did bring a 5th of whiskey, and I will tell you that the only night I drank whiskey was on the 9th night because you're just working so hard and you're so
Mhm.
tired. You're just like the last thing that sounds. It just doesn't even sound appetizing. It's like you're just like, no thanks, I'll pass. But that's a big part of it. And you also notice that like after a couple of days out there, you're working so hard, your body tells you what it needs.
Mhm.
So you just pack a few things in your backpack for the day, or for, a couple days worth of food in your backpack, and you'll start cramping, and you're like, oh, I need vitamins, I need to drink more water, or man, I've gone pee 3 times in the last 75 minutes. I need to tone back my water intake, or your body is speaking to you, and the more you do it, the more you'll realize what you need. Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I've never been to the Dakotas as far as to hunt, but I've been out through Idaho quite a
Beautiful.
bit. Oh my
Beautiful.
God, it's my favorite state in the entire country of all the ones I've
Don't
been
go telling
to.
everybody that, Brandon, please.
What's that?
Don't go telling everyone, all right?
All right, I'm gonna try not to. Everybody move to Montana. Let them go do their thing over there. They're already moving there anyways.
yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, but no, Idaho was cool, and you're absolutely right. The more you spend time in those mountains or in any of those climate areas, your body will tell you what you need. Like I had a friend who was out with us. My cousin actually lives out there in
Were you
Idaho.
hunting?
We did. We ended up hunting a cow. I drew a tag for a cow elk, which was pretty neat, and a mule deer buck actually. We didn't end up taking the buck. We just got the cow.
That's
Or I should say, I got the cow because my buddy thought it was awesome to eat like the biggest breakfast he's ever eaten in his entire life because his wife wasn't there to tell him he couldn't. Um, and I
my
said
wife,
to
my
him,
wife listening to this, she's like shaking her head and she's going like, "Come on, dude." She knows
no,
that's
No, he's going. He knows what he's talking about.
yeah, exactly. So literally though, like I know better because I've been in that country before. That you grab yourself a couple bananas, a couple apples, and a bunch of bottles of water, and it goes in your pack, and that's what you're eating until at least 1 o'clock that day. And this guy, I mean, if he didn't clear a pound of bacon and a loaf of bread before 6 a.m.
Oh
and
man,
yeah, and I was
that's a
like,
rough morning, dude. Oh.
well,
week.
if you guys have never been in the elevation change like that, the air gets so thin that no matter what you've eaten, it feels like you're about to puke. It doesn't matter. Like if you
Wow.
don't know how to fix yourself. And I mean, he was puking. I mean, the whole time. He quit, sat on a stump for a while. Then, like an hour later, we're glassing, and he comes wandering up the side of the hill, still sick as a dog. Yeah, exactly. Dazed and confused. Looks like Cheech and
Like a
Chong
Pink Floyd song.
coming up the hill because like his head is somewhere else. And I'm like, I told you not to eat that much,
Cheech
man.
and Chong. You use
No,
Cheech and Chong as an example. I'm just
well,
saying.
yeah,
Exactly.
his head was somewhere else. Like he was looking off
Yeah.
in left field, not realizing what his body was doing. And but no, it's funny. So anybody who does want to go on that needs to mentally, physically, and research, prepare themselves
Mm-hmm.
for what that country really can do to you. Like
Mm-hmm.
and what you
And like you said, there's things you don't anticipate because you're not from the area. And I think even little things like what happens if you get sick?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh yeah.
what happens if you what I had like a trauma kit in my bag. Because what happens if I fall down one of these gullies? I crack my leg open. I've got a compound fracture. Now what do I do? How do I
Shoot
get out?
yourself.
It's like those are little things that people just don't think about, and you got to be ready for it because when you're if you've got a buddy, you've got room for error. But if you're by yourself, even something as simple as walking down into one of those drainages, like I was looking at like what is the easiest way to get down there. If I have to walk an extra 400 yards, I'm doing it because I'm not taking the chance. Because you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you had a whole film crew with you like these TV shows and
Yeah.
another guy and they can radio you a helicopter. Like you're out there by yourself.
Yeah, it's not like you're Brandon and forget your GoPro the day you see ducks. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I see ducks every time I go. Unlike you guys with your geese.
Dude, it was a bad day. Oh
I'm
my God,
actually
we didn't see anything. It was a bad day, man. I don't know if you've seen it. We were having fun. But did you see our TikTok where he did like the 4 calls at once and he was shaking his butt? Didn't you see it?
It looked like the short bus trip to hunting camp.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I ain't gonna lie to you. We had a point where it was about 10:30. We were all like, okay, we ain't seeing nothing. It's okay. We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah.
Chris, that would make a great big sexy shirt. The big sexy short bus. I like that. And it's just like geese on the side of it.
Yep.
I kind of
Some
like that.
silhouette decoys dragging behind.
Mhm.
Like, and then they were off to Denny's at 10:30. So
Yeah.
You know, my brother did this to me on Sunday. He goes, it's like maybe like 8:30 in the morning. It's only like an hour after sunrise. And it's cold. We haven't seen anything. And normally, if you're going to see something, you know, you've usually seen it by then, right?
yeah, you at least
so-
one anyways.
Yeah. And so like you kind of get a feel for what things going to happen, right? And he goes, you go to, and I was going to go to church after, and I did. I went to church after we hunted. And he goes, church is on west side of town, isn't it? I was like, yeah. He goes, you know what else is on the other side of town? What's that, Suresh? Cracker Barrel.
Oh yeah.
He's like, you know, if we left now, we'd have time to get over there before you have to go to church. I don't know about that.
And you were like, you know what? Duck it. Let's go.
Yeah.
You like that? You see how I did that? Right? Yeah, I got my little ways. I got my little ways to get it.
Yeah,
in
you're
there.
like, just leave the decoys out there. We're just leaving. We're done.
Here, watch this. Check this
Oh,
out.
God.
Fucking kill them all.
I thought you guys were trying to call geese.
Watch this.
Like, dude, comic thrust. I call this the switcheroonie.
The switcheroonie.
Pelvic thrust call always works.
Yeah, the pelvic thrust call was my favorite. There you go.
Does this guy have a retainer? Like, how do you keep that kind of calling quality?
Dude, that's Bill's brother, BSL member Bill's brother. We hit a point where we gave up, and he was like, I don't care, I got this. And I started filming him because he was doing such stupid stuff. I had to. He was funny.
We've got a couple of good videos from Sunday too, similar stuff. Because you get bored, you know, there's nothing happening, so you just start screwing around.
Thank you, Mark. I don't know if you guys see that. I love that, Mark. Thank you very much.
Nice.
So what's this whole bunny hunting thing going on around here, Ben?
I think you need to get on another episode and we'll talk about it.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
I need to get out for rabbits this year.
And here's the other thing, guys. Now I know you're a little far away, but I want you to know that I have some pretty good guys that do some cool hunting. Chris will tell you. Last year they shot their limit. 4 guys. They went while I was at work. They invited me, but I couldn't go. I had to work.
I'm sorry.
No, I was at work for real. They shot their limit, all 4 guys off these dogs, the ones we hunt with. In 2 hours, 4 guys shot their limits.
Wow.
I mean, I'll send you a picture. I'll find it. They have the beagles in the back of the truck, and the whole tailgate's full of rabbits.
Wow, dude.
We got some awesome spots around here, but these beagles are good. We have a blast. Oh, my God, we have a blast.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. I've heard stories about it, and I'm like, just in general from people, even out by St. Louis, like hunting swamp rabbits and stuff like that. And it just sounds like it would be so fun. Because one of my favorite thing about pheasant hunting is watching the dog work. And so I can imagine you get a group of beagles just running rabbits has got to be so freaking cool.
Oh, dude, there's times I'll just watch a rabbit go by. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm sitting there. We had this young kid go with, and he kept going in circles. And a rabbit you could watch run circles. And I kept saying to the young kid, get ready, buddy, get ready. And a rabbit would go by. Get ready, buddy, get ready. Here comes one. There a rabbit goes by. It's the same rabbit. The beagles just kept chasing it.
Yeah.
So finally I snuck him up into this gully where he could see down in the gully. And I said, get ready. And just as I said, get ready, I heard my GoPro beep and shut off. And the kid goes, boom! And I was like, come on, man. Come on.
Oh, talk about footage loss.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. Like, literally, the kid was losing it. He started laughing. He's like, tell me you didn't get that. I was like, didn't you hear the beep, buddy? That sucker just died.
Oh, that's brutal, man.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? But I bet you that rabbit went by him 6 times before he shot. We would have had it on footage if he shot, you know? Oh, we had such a good time. I mean, I invite every one of you to come out and join us. We have such a good time.
Listen, if it's anything like the goose hunt, that's a heck of a drive to sit around with you monkeys.
Well, I'll tell you right now that you enjoy yourself if nothing else.
Maybe that's a 2023, like annual BSO outing or something like that.
Dude, I'm in. I love it. I mean, my buddy has 10 beagles, 11 right now, and he usually takes 3 each time. And the new one we picked up was phenomenal. Phenomenal. My God, he listens. If I call him, he'll run from hollow to hollow to come get me.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's an awesome time. And I will tell you that, and they'll tell you, the guys I hunt with, they call me Deadeye. Because if they're sitting still, I can't hit them. But if they're running, I can knock them dead.
Did you see? I tried to send you a video today of let me see if I can find it on mine. Maybe I can share. It was on one of the hunting forums I'm on. Mm-hmm. This dude, I can't find it. He there's a doe running maybe like 15, 20 yards across him. And with a compound bow, he just leads it. I mean, and it just
straight up instinctively shot it on the run.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was cool. Unbelievable. But this whole story about this young hunter and the camera dying reminds. So on Friday, I was able to get the kill shot. Actually, I was able to get the whole thing on my GoPro of the button buck I got. And dude, so I use a crossbow just because in general I don't have a compound bow right now. It's not something that's in the cards, and I would like to start compound hunting. But anyways, I've got my crossbow, and I've got the GoPro on the bottom of it, off the Picatinny, so I can see everything where just you can see the underside of the crossbow.
We need to talk. I'm going to show you a better setup. Honestly, and I don't mean that smart. I can show you a way better setup.
I'm very, very open to thought process on that because I'm just learning how to film. But I got the shot, and you would not believe this. I mean, this deer, the bolt goes in. I was shooting it was a full front shot, I shot at the chest, and that's normally not a shot that I would take. But I had a great angle on it. I was very confident. I was shooting down. I was like, I can pin this thing. Shot hit top of top left shoulder. It crosses underneath, clips the bottom of the spine, clips the liver, clips the top of both lungs. The deer, boom, down. Didn't go 2 yards. Just fell down and died. It was unbelievable. I was in the video, you can see this thing just standing, and then all of a sudden it's just boom, down. And I was like, that is so sad.
It's awesome, ain't it?
Mm-hmm. And it's only a 3-acre property. So it's if this thing had run, and that's why I was I got to take this particular kind of shot because if it runs, it's just off the property.
If you look up my DMAP hunt last year, that was a GoPro, but it was a different way you have yours set up. Mm-hmm. So check out that angle. Tell me if you like that. That'll. What I like is out of the way of everything. Chris seen my setup. I made it last year. I designed it. These Tacticams we use, we don't even need them. The way I designed this GoPro setup, I can use it all day. But I still like the Tacticams because they're right down your barrel. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll send you a picture. If I think of it, send me a message tomorrow, and I'll dig out at some point tomorrow, the day after. I'll send you a video or a picture of my setup.
I would like that. I will do that because I want to write it down so I don't forget.
It's easy, but it comes in like a kit, and I build it out of this kit. I just kept putting pieces together, and I was like, "Oh man, that'll work!" And I've used it. I used it a whole year. I shot almost every video I have was off that GoPro.
Oh wow! I gotta check out.
We're an hour and 35 minutes, man. We didn't even know we were on that long. Which that's great. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's great when you don't know you're sitting here an hour and 35 minutes. Our viewers, we have all new viewers. Nobody I have ever met before.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So we were live, tons of viewers, guys and viewing. Thank you so much for joining. Mark J. Larson Outdoors, man. I absolutely love your comment. I'm posting it one more time. I absolutely just love it. We got hearts, we got likes. Every day we grow, every day we get better. I absolutely love it. So, you guys that are on here now, feel free to join us again next Monday. Next Monday is supposed to have a special guest. There's a little guy who shot his first buck this year.
Don't be talking about Chris like that.
and his dad shot a buck a week later out of the same spot. So they're going to both tell their story. And the dad was with, of course, when he shot it. They're excited. They want to get on. I told him absolutely. So that'll be next week. As long as, with Christmas being the 26th, it might be a struggle for them guys. But he said he's pretty sure he can make it work. So I'm excited for that because I love this little boy asked if he could be on our show. And I love that more than I have to go after somebody. I just love that people want to participate and be on it. So he gets to get on and tell a story. And guys, I'm excited. Anytime a kid wants to get on and tell their story, I'm excited. For the month of February, we are working on putting a whole month segment together that is girl power, women in the outdoors. Now, I am going to have my daughter on with me. She's going to sit here for that whole month. My daughter, I have one daughter that hunts. Well, I have 3 daughters. 2 hate hunting. 1 loves it, which is the one you've seen in the video. So I want her to sit here with me. She's waving through the curtain.
And 1 hates me.
I want her to sit here with me for that whole February. She can sit here anytime, but especially that February. I think it'll be cool. And you can walk in. So I really don't want to say her name, but I'm gonna. So I've been speaking with Tess Talley. I don't know if you guys know who Tess Talley is.
She does like safari hunts.
Oh my God, dude. I am so excited. So Tess loves that we want to do girl power, women in the outdoors. So I got more messages to go back and forth with Tess, but as long as she's available for the month of February, she will get on and participate. So I am super stoked. And we're working on getting a bunch of others. So stay tuned for that. Be excited. Also, before we end tonight, guys, we said anybody that got on and commented gets their name on the wheel. So let's do this, Chris. I'm going to take sharing. Are you ready? Okay, share screen. Boom. Share. Can you guys see my screen? I'll tell you in a second. Tell me if you can see it.
Yep.
All right, so the names that we're on tonight are on this wheel. First thing we're going to do is hit this wheel and get a name. Let's see who comes up. Up. Okay, there's your name. Sam, it's your name. Here we go. Now we have a whole cool wheel of prizes. I don't know if you guys see all these cool prizes, but here we go. Oh, what is it? What is it? What is it?
Oh,
Slaughterville Comic Book 2.
cool. He's gonna love it. He's gonna love it.
So there you go. Slaughter. And look, it deleted it right off the board, so we can let that board on there for next time.
You got the name written down?
Yep. Actually, I believe it's Jazzbear's buddy. That's even cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, that's even cooler because now you can just talk to Jazzbear for all the info you need.
That's right.
So listen, anybody that participated, Jazzbear, Brandon, it's always great to have you both on. I invite all Big Sexy Outdoor members every time we're on. I also invite anybody in the comments section to join us. If you guys aren't on, you want to join on, you want to tell a story, you got anything you want going, let us know, and we will get you on this show because we love to talk about hunting and hear your adventures. So thank you very much, guys. I hate to call it cuts, but at an hour, 40 minutes and a 4 o'clock a.m. work ethic, man, we got to call it.
One quick thing before we go. I have all the stuff ordered for the turkey package for the hunting package for a raffle.
Okay.
So I figure right after Christmas, we'll start in on that. I give everybody through Christmas to, do their thing or whatever with family and friends, and then start selling raffle tickets. I've already got at least 20 guys that want to buy. Don't save us tickets. What I'm gonna do actually is so much. I'm gonna give them a stub that says, you purchased a ticket. Their name's gonna go into a book. You guys can also sell tickets down there, like whatever, up to 100, or we can do as many as we want. I told everybody 100. At $20 a piece, there's $500 worth of gear. Like, I mean, there's a ton of stuff. And I can maybe next week or whatever, if we have a little spare time after that, whatever, go through all the items that were purchased. It's all good.
Yeah,
good,
we'll do that. We'll definitely do that.
Good hunting stuff. Premium Primos decoys, calls, turkey hunting vest, ammunition. I think you were going to throw in a brow tine hook and like a little flash thing that you had there.
Yep.
There's literally like $500 worth of stuff. So that'll be pretty cool. So that's all ordered, ready to rock and roll whenever it gets here, and I can package it all up into one thing so we can go through everything maybe on the show and go at the end of the night and go, this is what you guys are buying a ticket for, and go from there. So
let's plan that next Monday. I'm in. Let's do that. Let's plan on going through that and getting it out there.
Yeah,
Jasmine, I got one last question for you. I see your wife watches this when we're on here. So I got a question. Is your wife a woman of the outdoors?
She loves it. She likes to go out with me every once in a while, and she likes to hike. Still figuring out the hunting part of it, but she can, if you want, she can answer.
Sounds like we might need her to get in on a little bit of stuff here.
You want to jump in and answer for yourself, baby?
Yeah, I love the outdoors.
Can you hear?
I can hear. So maybe we need to get her in a little bit of women in the outdoors, huh?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if she's up for it, I think it would be cool to have her come and comment on just the discussion. So this is my wife, Kayla.
He talks highly of you.
Oh, thank you. He's a pretty good guy too. I'll keep him.
Yeah. She doesn't have a choice. We got married in May. There's no return policy on
this
me.
Guy has grown my appreciation for the outdoors tenfold, and I didn't realize how much I appreciated the outdoors until I met him. And then our honeymoon, that month-long trek across the country, just solidified that love for the outdoors.
Awesome.
It was awesome.
That's awesome.
I love being outdoors. I want to someday move where we can live near mountains, hopefully. That's my dream.
That'd be cool.
I think that's fantastic. And I mean this. We're going to do a woman in the outdoors. I'm going to try to get a lot of special guests on in the month of February. If you'd like to get on, and you can ask the special guests some questions, tell some of your own stories, whatever. I think about that. You don't have to answer it now. I don't want to put you on the spot, but it's something to think about. And I think you'll enjoy it. My 6-year-old daughter will be on every session. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be something really cool. Chris and I are going to kind of step back and let the women run it. And I think it'll be cool.
I'm excited to see it too. I think it'd be cool.
I would absolutely love that. I mean, I'll give it some time. I'll think about it, but I think I'd love that. Especially as I want to get more into it, and I want to support him and his business and hopefully be part of it. Jamie there, he said he's, not used to seeing me outside of work. I work with him and
oh, this is Jamie.
This is Jamie.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Well, hey, Jamie, thanks for tuning in, man.
So, yep, I'm a nurse, and we were talking. Me and him will catch up on the outdoors and all sorts of shenanigans like that, and anyway, that'd be awesome. That would be so cool.
I'll tell you what, I appreciate you giving them to us. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
So Ben wears a nursing uniform too, but that's for a whole different
profession. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we got to try to make some extra money.
You got it.
I got to pay for the BSO shirt sometimes, so sometimes I got to put that uniform
on. Take one for the team, and I appreciate that.
That's right. That's a high value proposition.
Listen, guys, we're gonna call it quits, but I appreciate you guys. I mean, I super appreciate it. You don't even know what you guys mean to me on this show and to your participation in Big Sexy Outdoors. So I thank you, man. I super thank you. I thank your wife for letting you be part of it and supporting you through it. And you're bringing on some new guests for us. You're keeping people coming. Chris and I are grateful. That's all I can say is we're super grateful. We're glad we met you. We're glad Brandon's part of what we do. And I'm going to let it at that, man, and just know that we keep trying to grow our shows to be better and better.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for all the great discussion and questions.
Chris.
And I'll let Chris handle that question. But again, all three of you, thank you so much for the questions and for being patient while I kind of jabber on about my trip. So thanks, guys.
Yeah.
It's usually what it usually auto posts it about 12 hours after, only because that's just the way StreamYard works. It's anywhere between instant to 12 hours, so it's in that range. But it you know what? Let me just do it this way. Hold on, just give me uno momento, por favor, here. And
I gotta roll out,
gonna
guys.
copy
Guys,
because
have
I
a good
can't
night.
do that. And I'm just gonna post the link
Hey,
to
Brandon.
Hey, bud. Yeah, I just posted the link for it for the actual video. So if you want to just save it, click the link. You can go right to it from there. Even if it looks like it wasn't posted, you can always reach it that way.
Now you know why I said Chris Jasper. You see that? That's my man right there. I don't have to do nothing. I just do this.
Mm-hmm. The
Well,
tech wizard.
he is the tech wizard, man. Hey, God bless you guys, and you guys have a great night.
God bless. Take care, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
See you. Have fun.